بين الشك واليقين مسافات، وبين الخير والشر خطوات. اجتازتها ضيفتنا زهرة تشارلز، معلمة اللغة الإنجليزية في جامعة الشارقة، لتروي لنا كيف وصلت إلى شاطئ الإسلام.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Zahra Charles. I'm a British Muslim. I lived my early life in England, but when I grew up I moved to Sweden and I lived there for 10 years. And while I was in Sweden and Denmark, actually it was Denmark, I met some Muslims who told me for the first time about Islam. Until that time I had never known any Muslims and I'd never travelled in Islamic countries. I'd travelled all over Europe and to many countries in Asia, but never to an Arab country. I had been through Turkey, Afghanistan and Iran, Pakistan, India, but I'd never really met any Muslims to talk to. So my ignorance was complete about Islam. Actually, I didn't know anything at all. Then after people told me about Islam, I started to understand it a little bit more and realized that there were many Muslims in the world who were not Arabs and not even born Muslims, people like me, who had come to this understanding through various ways. And I was happy to see that Islam was a universal religion. And the attraction for me was in that it was very practical and sensible. I think of myself as a practical and sensible person, so this appealed to me a lot. And as I learned more about Islam, I found that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this religion for us, and it's not just good for us personally, but it's good for our society and good for the world if we try to follow it in the best way.
تنقلت ضيفتنا بين دول أوروبا وآسيا، لكنها لم تكن تعلم عن الإسلام شيء إلا القليل حتى عادت إلى إيرلند.
So before I accepted Islam, I lived in Sweden for 10 years and in Denmark for 1 year. And I found the people there to be very, very nice people, but not at all interested in religion. And I think my religion was the same as theirs, complete materialism, hedonism, eat, drink and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. And basically there weren't any moral laws to live after, and I think the people were searching for that as I was searching for that. As I said, I travelled for a long time in India, and I was looking for something which was spiritually satisfying, whereas the background that I came from, at any rate in Sweden, I found was spiritually dead. When I accepted Islam, it was actually in Ireland, and the Muslims found us out, found my family, told us about Islam, and we really responded to that because it was just seemed to be the right thing. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with the guidance, the hidayah, at the right time when we could be receptive to that. And my family didn't seem to mind too much. I think because they could see that I was happy, firstly, and secondly, I was living a good life, better than I had been before. I was happier than before. So my parents and my brother, they weren't too worried about that, although they were Christians themselves.
وأشرقت شمس الإسلام على ضيفتنا، والتي ستشرق على كل باحث عن الحقيقة.
People in England, where I lived also for a time as a Muslim, I think it depends a lot on the area where you live. Because in Birmingham, where my family lives, There are so many Muslims there, and they seem to be accepted everywhere. And living in England, in that city, in that area, I've never had any trouble as a Muslim. And I found people invariably polite and respectful. And I think in general, the English people, or British people, should I say, are very tolerant of Muslims as far as I know.
سافرت ضيفتنا إلى باكستان والهند وعرفت الناس عن قرب، لكنها لم تكن راضية عن طريقة التعامل مع الغريب.
When I was traveling in these Asian countries, especially in Pakistan and India, I got on with the people very well. But I have to say that I didn't actually meet any good practicing Muslims. One of the reasons for this might be that they didn't approach me. I was like a hippie. I wasn't the kind of person that they would approve of. And I can see that now, that people didn't speak to me very much about Islam, except for one place in Afghanistan where there was a very sweet old man who was very, very kind to the travelers, and he had a little shop and he would invite people in, and I think we were very impressed by his kindness, his hospitality, his good manners towards us. And I think this is very important when Muslims are dealing with non-Muslims, to show them the good manners that Rasulullah ﷺ taught us and exemplified for us, to be kind, to be tolerant, to have sweet speech to them. And I remember being very fond of that old man and respecting him very much, although he didn't actually give us dawah. I've been a Muslim now for nearly 24 years, Alhamdulillah, and I feel that Muslims should always tell people about Islam if they're interested. I mean, when you're giving dawah to non-Muslims, if they seem at all interested, or even if they seem like nice people, I think it's really good to ask them, for example, have you heard about Islam? What do you know about Islam? And just introduce a conversation like this, and try and find out if there's anything that they would like to know that you could help them with, and make dua for them, because so many people need guidance, and many people are longing for it, longing for spiritual satisfaction. And this has been one of the things that I found made me most happy in Islam, that you have a spiritual satisfaction, that you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written down as a good way to live, and you follow that, then you feel some satisfaction. You hope that you are pleasing Allah, and you try to please Him, and make this your aim in life is to please Allah.
جاء إسلام زهرة بعد يقين ودلالة بأن الإسلام هو الدين الوحيد الذي يصلح للبشرية قاطبة.
One of the things that convinced me about Islam was actually not the Quran, because the Quran to me, before I was a Muslim, it was like a book. And I used to read the English translation of Quran, and I didn't really realize that this was the actual words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I was impatient. I couldn't understand it very well. I'm sorry, I found it repetitious and a little bit beyond me, beyond my understanding. What really attracted me was the seerah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that his character was so perfect and so such a paragon for us to emulate, to try to copy his character. That he was a kind person. He was gentle with even with his enemies. He was just. He was honest. He was kind. He was trustworthy. All the good adjectives that you can think about a person, this Rasulullah was to show us how we should be, how we should act, and we try to follow his sunnah. And this was really what made me love Islam in the beginning, was to read about the stories of the Prophet ﷺ and how he dealt with people. I actually said the Shahada in Ireland, and that was with my family in the countryside. My children were there, and actually my daughter wrote a poem about it once that I found many years later. And she said that a lot of people came to the house and we had a party, but it was very serious, and my mother and father changed their names, but they were still mum and dad to me. And I thought that was very sweet.
وبعد النطق بالشهادة قرأت القرآن وتمعنت فيه، والتحقت بالعديد من الدورات لتعلم اللغة العربية.
And my children have been brought up since then in Islam, Alhamdulillah. And when we were new Muslims, we would learn the surahs of Quran from a cassette tape, because we weren't living near any Muslims. And so later on we had to relearn them really with the correct tajweed. And I've been on several courses in tajweed and in Arabic. I'm afraid that my spoken Arabic is still very weak, but Alhamdulillah I can read Quran and understand a good deal of it. But Alhamdulillah we have translation of Quran in English. My children, the boys, speak Arabic, Alhamdulillah. It's easy for boys because you can send them away from home. You can send them to Arabic-speaking country, as we did, but the girls have to stay at home, so they didn't get as much Arabic as the boys. But Alhamdulillah, they know how to read Quran at least and carry on a simple conversation. شوي شوي.
وعن شهر رمضان المبارك تروي ضيفتنا وتتذكر ما حصل معها في السنة الأولى من اعتناقها الإسلام. فتقول:
Well, we just finished the month of Ramadan, Alhamdulillah, and the blessed month for all the Muslims. And I often remember my first Ramadan, which was in Ireland, and it was at the height of the summer. It was, I think, the longest day, something like maybe 20 hours. And it seemed like a long time. I was very worried when the Ramadan was coming, my first Ramadan, because we lived in the countryside and we worked very hard and we ate a lot of food. And my husband used to be a bit angry if the food wasn't ready in time. He said, "I'm a working man, where's my dinner?" And so I was really worried about how it would be for fasting, but Alhamdulillah it was just so easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so easy for us. The other thing that happened the first Ramadan is both my husband and I used to smoke cigarettes, and we asked Allah to help us, and the very first day of our first fasting in Ramadan, that was our last day. And Alhamdulillah, because the night was so short, we didn't have any time to light up a cigarette. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And it was very easy for us, contrary to what I'd expected. I've got 5 children, Alhamdulillah, 3 boys and 2 girls. And I've also got 9 grandchildren. Some of them live in England and some of them live in Saudi Arabia. So they're able to visit quite often, Alhamdulillah. One of my sons was at Islamic University, Medina, and he graduated from there, Alhamdulillah. And he's also still, at the moment, still working in Saudi Arabia. My other children are still living in England, and one of them is living with me at home at the moment, the last one, Alhamdulillah.
رحلة شاقة قد تطول وقد تقصر، لكنها في النهاية رحلة طيبة.
I'm living now here in United Arab Emirates, and I feel it's been quite a long journey to get here, actually. I traveled a lot in Europe when I was younger, and later on in Asia, in Afghanistan, in India. I was traveling for pleasure, for interest, trying to understand the people, have a look at the scenery, and I enjoyed that time a lot, and I think it gave me a understanding of other people and other cultures. But as I said, I had never been to an Arab country. One day I was in England, and I was looking through a magazine, an Aramco magazine, and I read about the Islamic University in Malaysia, the International Islamic University in Kuala Lumpur, and I thought, oh, that would be a nice place to work, and I applied to work there. And I didn't hear from them for a long time, but then suddenly they wrote and said, come over, we're ready for you, we're waiting for you. I'm an English teacher, by the way, a university teacher, and so I went to Malaysia for a couple of years, and then I went back later on another contract, and I worked in a school in a small town in Malaysia, in Kuantan. But I always wanted to visit an Arab country. About 15, 16 years ago, I got a 2-year contract in this country, in the Emirates. And I went to work in a markaz, in an institute, teaching institute in Fujairah. This was a very, very nice experience for me.
ماذا تقول ضيفتنا عن الجبال ووصفها في الليالي المقمرة؟
I remember very well arriving in Fujairah. It seems it was in June, and it was extremely hot, and I was very shocked at the heat. People had said to me, oh, Fujairah is so beautiful, there are mountains on the way. Now, I wasn't expecting mountains like in England, nice and green from top to bottom, but I didn't expect them to be like just piles of rocks. But after a while, I got to appreciate those mountains as you drive through them, or even when you're walking in them, in those mountains in Jabal Akhdar, okay, strange name for it. You appreciate the shapes of the mountains, the shadows of the light. At night time you can see the moonlight on it. It's very romantic to drive through there in a full moon. Very lovely experience those mountains are, and I think that was also a lesson to me that you make the most of what you've got. You say, Alhamdulillah, we have beautiful mountains. They might not be green, but they have some other good qualities. As we do with our life, we say, Alhamdulillah, we have so much to be grateful for. I liked my time in Fujairah very, very much. And when that contract finished, I made dua to come back to the Emirates, especially to Sharjah. And I have to admit that Sharjah is my favorite emirate, and I'm very happy to be working here. I work at the University of Sharjah. I teach English in the English department there. Mainly I teach academic writing, and I teach speech communication. And my students are, some of them are local people, some of them are, many of them are Palestinians, and people from other Arab countries. And Alhamdulillah, they're good students. They all work hard, and I respond to them and they respond to me. I enjoy teaching them, and I hope they enjoy learning with me. Yes, I really appreciate this, being in this country, and it's the very first Arab country that I ever went to, and I got a very good impression of the people. Of course, this is talking 16 years ago in Fujairah, even the children were wearing national dress. The children were wearing their little turban and the kandura, and I thought they looked so sweet. And I remember when my son, the first time we went to Fujairah, there was a competition in Kalba, and my son won a drawing competition. He was very good at drawing, actually. And he was interviewed by Sharjah TV that afternoon. And he hadn't been there in the country very long, so they said to him, well, Yusuf, do you know any Arabic? And he said, yes, he said, I know Bismillah and Uskut. So they laughed at this, and this was on the Sharjah TV that night, and they thought it was a big joke. The two words he picked up, I suppose. He was quite small. So yes, I'm happy to be here. I'll continue here as long as Allah lets me. We don't know what is written for us, but I like it here. I like to stay here, inshallah.
الإسلام لا يريد الضرر لأي إنسان لأنه دين السلام. تحروا عن الإسلام وأقبلوا عليه بعقول متفتحة متحررة من أي أحكام سابقة. بهذه الكلمات الطيبة توجه ضيفتنا رسالة لغير المسلمين فتقول:
I think as far as we Muslims are concerned, in our dealings with new Muslims, we have to be very patient and very gentle with them and very kind. And when they make some progress, we say, MashaAllah, don't be harsh on people and say, you're not wearing hijab, you're not praying in the masjid, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You should be doing this, you should be that. Because inshallah, with a good example, people will follow. And I would advise new Muslims, read as much as you can. Learn, don't judge Islam by the Muslims, by behavior. Judge Islam by what it is, by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent for us, because He said He has perfected His religion for us. This doesn't just mean finish, it means made perfect. It is perfect. It's we who are imperfect, and Islam is perfect. So as far as non-Muslims are concerned, I would just ask them, be open-minded. Believe me that Islam is the religion of peace. Islam doesn't want bad things for anybody. And investigate with an open mind, come to it without any prejudgment, and just read about Islam, and read magazines. Ask Muslims. If you know Muslims, ask them. Ask them what is it about their religion that you want to know. And may Allah guide us all. Allahu yahdi man yasha. So we ask Allah to make our hearts soft and open, and to hopefully, inshallah, attract more people to Islam. Islam, the biggest growing religion on the earth.